Yo, 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 yo. Are we live? Yep. Up and ready to go. Wait for a few people to filter in here. And then run through my list of names. Anything you guys are watching, feel free to throw it in the chat. Can run through my watch list. I'll post this after, and anybody who shows up late can just watch the replay. So there's a comment on one of my previous videos about Lace looking for a similar move. It does have a really good history of first red days, but this thing hasn't really extended itself far enough. This one, like, you see how many consistent green days it went on. Same kind of thing here, where it goes from 160 up to 480, like a triple. So something like this, I'd want to see it go like 12 to 15 before being interested in looking something like that. Ideally, some more speed up in the volume. But I'll keep that on watch for days to come. Just not really a actionable idea for me right now. SGMO, if you recall, many weeks ago, this one was on watch list for a break and build over 120s, and it never came, acted as a top, but it's coming back on scan here as it's re-breaking out over this $1.90 to $1 range. So I'll still be keeping it on watch for this 110 to 120 break. I've still got price alerts on set for that looking left level. So I will be looking for a potential multi-week setup now that it's given itself a lot of time in the consolidation, that I think it could have a secondary leg if it starts to break out over 110, 120. IMRX, recent runner, no overhead resistance nearby, nice front side move, pull back, digests its move, and now it's coming back up. So far, this is just a bounce into resistance that I would expect to fail off of like Friday's highs into this 350 to 380. I'd expect resistance, but if it starts to hold up here for a day or two and then re-break out, I don't want it just straight up $2 to $4, but if it can start to hold its gains and prove itself, then I like that for a potential breakout. Otherwise, assuming this fails, and potential short into resistance as volume hasn't really come back in. Yo, Oliver, what's going on? Lunar. This one put out that news we went over a couple days ago on the watch list. Now it's up into prior resistance. So I'd be hoping for a higher the better. This has got a lot of consolidation and new shareholder base up here. So I'd want it to go into this 12, 13s and maybe have a looking left trade on some sort of parabolic. But I'm going to keep it on watch. Percent gainer coming out of its new base, but now it's closer into prior resistance. So not something I'd want to buy, but going to keep on watch. FTCI. Same kind of plan here. I wanted to see it go up and fail at this resistance level, which it's done exactly. And then I said I wanted it to hold in this 45 to 55 range, and it's done exactly that. So far, this is trading exactly how I'd like to see it trade. And now that this wedge is starting to tighten, it's either going to break down below 48 cents or it's going to break out above this 52, 53 cents. And big picture wise, look for that 57 break, sell into possible prior resistance, and maybe leave a runner on. But I'd be looking for this downtrend wedge break, and then be able to scalp that 20-cent move and potentially leave a runner on if it wants to churn volume and consolidate for the rest of the day. Gevo, big multi-day runner, has yet to really panic. That day 2 red day had a lot more range than the first red day, which isn't typical for how these typically, how they're supposed to act, so to speak. So now it has push, pulled, consolidate, and now I'm waiting for it to choose a direction. If it wants to do something like this and just keep failing, break under 130-ish, I'd expect it to go a lot lower. But it could start to consolidate up here and maybe set up for a secondary leg. And then AL is my main watch going into tomorrow. I really like this daily chart. No overhead resistance. Right back, which day? The 29th. Hindenburg put out a, I guess you call it a hit piece. Not really a short report. It was more like saying that the revenues on this thing are fiction. That they come from one company for like 90-something% of their revenues, but that company is like unnamed in the filings. So it was sketchy, shady. And then right here, the CEO put out a rebuttal to this hit piece. But given where that new shareholder base that came in, sub 150 on the Hindenburg research report, anything over this, I would consider the fundamental shorts to be underwater. I have my eyes on AL and GLMD. What do you think? Oh, perfect. Yeah, we're going over this one right now. So given where this one gapped down to, any fundamental shorts that are using the Hindenburg thesis, now that it's consolidating up here on a lot higher volume, I think those shorts are underwater, the fundamental shorts. Even if Hindenburg is right, I'm not playing this at a fundamental view. I'm just looking for a technical chart setup to be move in, move out, move on type thing. This thing probably is a zero. Hindenburg is good at their research, but I'm looking to get involved for that short-term momentum move and possibly play that breakout through the 180s. So on a intradaily chart-wise, I like all dips versus 155. Prior resistance became support for 2 days and then acted as resistance once, twice, 3 times, and now acting as support again. So this 155 over under, I think, is a very key level, and I'd be looking at all dips towards that for risk and then look to play that 180 break. I ideally would have gotten involved in this on Friday, but I wasn't at my desk late day on Friday, so at this point, just looking for weakness to join that trend. It's built itself a long enough base that I think it's digested its move well enough. And then like Oliver said here, I'll look at GLMD and give my 2 cents on it. So far, a big frontside move, and then you've got these wicks on the daily that each pop is getting sold into. So I would expect all pops that exhaust through the mid-12s to be met with selling pressure. Basically until it proves otherwise. So this would be a shortened resistance. There's not really a backside bounce as it's tried to bounce multiple times. This would have been that first bounce, and then it keeps trying to bounce, but there's obviously a seller in here in the $12 range. So any sort of shove into 12 and through 12 that exhausts, I think, round trips back to the lows. Just let it do more of its same thing, but not something I'd really trade. It trades really thin. I'm not sure what the float is on this. Let's see. Float. Honor a mil. Jeez, mosquitoes. Got them. Under a mil float. I usually don't like trading these because I can't really get much share size on there. There's not a whole lot of risk I can put on and feel safe in the meantime. I feel like I have to watch every tick. And then I also have to size down in order to keep my risk in check. So stuff with that kind of share structure, I usually don't touch. And then in terms of the daily chart pattern, it just looks like pops into prior resistance are failing. So not really a main watch there for me. But AL, I do like dips versus 150s and that 180 breakout. FTCI, my other main watch. Probably IMRX. A lot of long watches. Stuff consolidating, bouncing off their lows, consolidating near their recent run highs. Anything else you guys got? Otherwise, I can wrap it up there. pull up some dilution on AL and see if they've got anything. Their lockup restriction from their SPAC shares. Jeez, mosquitoes everywhere, man. Don't even have my window open. Thanks for the insight. I need more perspective. Yeah, for sure. I always like doing that, especially like when you have your trade plan, and if you can get other traders that you kind of trust or trade similarly to, not just anybody, like when people on Twitter start to believe you, or people on like FinTwit, like StockTwits, Reddit, that kind of thing, when they start to cheer each other on, it's usually not a good sign. But if you can get some like-minded traders and other people that you respect or like to trade with, and you guys can kind of formulate the same plans separately, and when you come together, you're like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing, usually a decent trade. I know Nate and Cody do that kind of thing. When they agree on a long idea, it usually works out pretty good. AL's got a bunch of cash. They got 20 months of cash on hand, so they don't really need to offer. Their shares from their merger that were locked up, they've waived their lockup restrictions, so those 13 million shares are freely tradable. It's got about 140 million shares outstanding, so it's a bit on the thicker side, but something I could get some size in and feel confident sitting in. So fundamental wise, I don't really hate it. I'll just play the technicals on that, and I don't see a whole lot of risk overnight and whatnot. So that's all the comments we got. That's my main watches. AL and FTCI main watches in tomorrow, and then the other ones were just daily chart watches, waiting for their daily charts to keep building, set up some more levels I can trust. So I will leave it there. Get in where you fit in, make some memories, and I'll see you guys in the room. Thanks for tuning in.